Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down.
I like the way you grind with that booty on me.
It's going down.
Go down while you looking lonely.
It's going down.
Now go round and it's all on me.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down. Meet me in the club
with that booty on me.
It's going down.
Go down while you looking lonely.
It's going down.
Now go round and it's all on me.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down. Meet me in the club.
She headed to the dance floor and she slowly started popping it. Something like my wrist piece, everybody got to watching it. Girl, you got that secret treasure, I'm gon' put a lock on it. Don't care what they say, I would be stupid if we not on this. Heard you got that sticky. Let's go and take 9 shots, we'll just call it 50. And I gonna lick it till I hickey. Had that river running, keep you running till you empty.
Bang, bang, bang,
bang. Oh, you look so sweet. What you worth your palace? Look at your physique. Girl, you are a beauty, well, I am a beast. They must have been tripping to have left me off a leash. I like the way you grind with that booty on me.
It's going down.
Go down while you looking lonely.
It's going down.
Now go round and it's all on me.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down. Meet me in the club
with that booty on me.
It's going down.
Go down while you looking lonely.
It's going down.
Now go round and it's all on me.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down. Meet me in the club.
What's going on, Jets Nation? CJ the Painkiller and Simone here, and you are watching Jets Guru. Now, give it up for your host, Mr. Daniel Smith!
What is going on, Jets Guru and Jet Guru fans out there? Welcome to the show once again. Really appreciate the support that you guys give to us each and every week. It's really exciting to come and talk about the Jets, and we're getting close. I mean, guys, we are right here, and all of a sudden the season is upon us. I'm excited. I mean, after what we went through last season, it was something that was needed. And when you look at this Jets team, you know, and you look at Joe Douglas, there was a lot of questions about Joe Douglas going into this season and why the offensive line wasn't fixed and he could have did more. And I understand that people aren't used to seeing a GM do the right things. And ultimately, when you look at this, you are going to see, right? You are going to know the real imprint of what Joe Douglas put on this team. And it's going to come this year and the year after. You're starting to see his imprint on the team. And honestly, I'm loving every bit of it because he's being patient and he's being smart as a GM. And when you look at what he did with Jamal Adams, it was ultimately the smartest thing to do. And you see Seattle going through what they're going through right now, giving up so many assets that could have helped the offensive line, who could have had weapons for Russell Wilson. You do not build your franchise with a safety. So the Jets went out and got premium picks that allowed them to be able to rebuild this roster. The Jets also moved on from a quarterback who is very young, who still has talent, and who a lot of Jet fans have leached onto as some kind of guy savior that we let go, considering the fact that this guy has done absolutely nothing as a New York Jet and Sam Darnold. And he picked his own guy with his head coach and their coaching staff. And when you look at it, the first time in 10 years that the Jets have been able to do so, to be able to have this type of organization and function level, to be a real franchise again, guys, this is what it feels like. And so we get a little bit antsy when he goes out there. And we're like, is he going to sign this guy? Is he going to sign that guy? And guy after guy after guy gets signed. He gets signed. Why isn't he a Jet? We have tons of money. What are we doing? Well, Joe Douglas is looking towards the future for this football team. He's looking at sustained success. He doesn't want to be the Jets with Rex Ryan as they matured, as their quarterback matured, the talent fell off. We don't want to see things like that. We don't want to see the constant defensive attention that the Jets have given to this franchise year after year after year. So you know what he did? Not only did he add organizational tier structure to this organization just like this, right, by hiring a coach that's well respected, a guy who started like Douglas from the bottom up through tape, another scout guy, not a offensive genius who moved up the ranks because a quarterback all of a sudden said, hey, you should pick him up. None of that. This is a guy who each stop brought something to the table. He brought his coordinator, a guy that he's worked with before. There was no hiccups. He was allowed to do so. The owner said, just do it. Just get it. Stuff. And that's what was brought here to do. And then came the offensive line. And everybody was real worried. And what did I tell you guys from day one? You cannot fix Rome in a day. And the Jets were never Rome. And what Joe Douglas was able to do even last year, piecing together that offensive line, to me, was a pretty good job for a guy who really, when he first got there, wasn't able to imprint anything. He really wasn't. And so in his first offseason, and remember, just because the Jets have money doesn't mean the players want to come there. He tried to pick everybody up in free agency on the offensive line, and it didn't work. You know, he tried his best with what he had, and it didn't work. And so this year he was a lot more patient in free agency on the offensive line. He had way more quality picks to work with, and he was able to go ahead and get Vera Tucker to solidify that left side of the line. And you could say what you want about Mekhi Becton, okay, but the talent is there. Joe can't predict if Becton is going to be on the field all 16 games. He can only pick a guy based on his talent, what he brings to the table, and we know it's there. From all reports, Vera Tucker is leading up to everything that he should be as well. You then keep McGovern because you figure he's going to have better help on the left side, and you have Fant on the right side. Well, Joe, being patient, not signing this guy and that guy and every single guy that everybody wanted, knew that there was going to be players available after the draft, after the initial camp, guys who were getting cut because of financial reasons, because what have you, whatever the case may be. He knew that, and there's still going to be more players to come, even for cornerback, which is the next topic that everyone has been jumping on recently. But when you look at it, he was able to bring in Morgan Moses from the Redskins. And it's an awesome sign, because what is the one thing that has been killing the Jets year after year on that offensive line? The health of the actual football team. This line can't get any type of continuity going whatsoever because they're always hurt and banged up. And I understand it's football and that's going to happen. But for the Jets the last couple of years, it's been real tough. It's been almost unusual, the amount of injuries it seems has been popping up. And what Moses brings to the table is the fact that he has played every single game. Now, do I think that he's going to play every single game as a Jet? I'll pray that he does, because I don't wish people being unhealthy or tearing knees or doing anything like that. But until I see a healthy New York Jet line for a while, it's going to be hard to imagine that. So not only do the Jets get another right tackle whose PFF grade, whose technique has gotten better each and every year, which shows that he's understanding the game and he's learning to play within himself and within his talent. And that is only going to help guys like Van Rotten. And it's only going to help guys like Cameron Clark if they're converting to right guard, and all these types of guys, these little tiny guys in between who won't be for the Jets probably for very long, and are more rotational pieces. But when you look at this Jets line now, the only weak spot, because I think McGovern will bounce back and have a good year, is going to be that right guard position. And honestly, if you got Moses next to you, you should be okay. I think this Jets offensive line brought themselves on paper to a top 15, a top 12 line in this league. I really do. Maybe even top 10. If the offense can get going, it's going to be important. Zach's still a rookie. He can hold the ball a little bit too long. There might be some communication issues the first few games. But the talent that's on the offensive line should be good. I mean, if they stay healthy rolling in, there should be a really talented offensive line. And check this out too, and it's really important. Fant now becomes the swing tackle. And now when Becton gets hurt or needs to miss a game or you want to rest him or whatever the case may be, Fant can now swing to that left side, which he feels way more comfortable with anyways. He wanted to play left tackle. He originally became a New York Jet to play left tackle because when he was in Seattle, he got hurt. They found a replacement. He played well. So when he came back, they moved him to the right side. They moved him to tight end. He's very versatile, Fant, and you're probably going to hold on to him for another year. And so you're like, listen, this is great. Now we have depth at both tackle positions where if Becton or Moses goes out, now you have a legit starter. So you don't have too much fall off there. And then this out, right? In an emergency situation, let's say you lose both tackles. You can get Fant at left tackle or Fant at right tackle, and you can move Vera Tucker outside, who also has experience at tackle if you really need to, and then you can plug in Cameron Clark at guard. Like, there's a lot of things that you could do with this offensive line when you bring a guy like Moses in for a reasonable 1-year deal where the money doesn't mean anything. And that's why Joe goes out there and gets the little bits here and there so you can make a move like this but still be able to carry over quite a few millions and roll them over into the next year to make your cap a little bit higher, to be able to go out there and be able to spend more in the second year and round out this team. Because as we know, this team still needs cornerbacks. Yet to be seen. It's yet to be seen if these safety outside linebacker hybrid type guys are going to be the answer for this team. We'll find out this year, but if not, that's going to be a target area. I think the defensive line, I think the offensive line, wide receivers, running backs, quarterback, obviously, safety is kind of locked in, right? When you look at reps and who would be coming in probably next year, unless somebody really falls off. Tight end might be another position too to look out for the Jets next year. But when you do this, when you put yourself in position to be able to have multiple first-round picks year to year and still be able to get things that you want, still be able to trade, move up and down. I mean, Joe Douglas is doing an outstanding job, and I would challenge anyone to say that he hasn't. I mean, can you really say, and like, listen, obviously the proof is in the pudding. You got to go out there and you got to perform as a football team. But when you look at it on paper, can you name another team that I believe is going to have a quicker turnaround than the New York Jets? I really don't think so. Even though they were a bad football team last year, they have resources to rebuild. And I think they maximized. I think the New York Jets maximized as much as they could with what they had. I think they did an outstanding job at the staff that they brought in. I think the owner did an outstanding job at allowing Joe Douglas and the football people go out there and make decisions. They were swift with getting rid of Adam Gase. They were swift with getting the coach and the staff they were wanted. They were swift and they were very transparent about who they wanted a quarterback without having to say it. Like, you send your offensive coordinator, your head coach, your GM to go watch a quarterback throw. I mean, come on, guys. What do you think? It's going to be him. I think the comments that they made about Sam Darnold early on, remember, the first initial comments were very positive to the point where Jet fans thought, well, maybe they're holding on to Sam Darnold. That's because they're smart. These guys are football guys. They looked at the tape. You had to have these guys sit down when they first get hired. They haven't already looked at the tape. It's not like they watched tape on Darnold for 3 weeks and then said, okay, I'm ready to be the New York Jets head coach. That's not how it works. These guys have to come in with their staff and they have to sit down and they have to look at the tape and make a decision. And they did. They looked at the tape and they made a decision. I'm telling you, that's how they do it. They didn't go in there and say, we just want to draft our own guy, so just get rid of Sam. That's not how they did it. These guys are smart people. They came from the bottom all the way up through the football ranks. They did their homework. Offensive coordinator LaFleur, he probably wanted a guy that's going to fit his offense just a little bit better than what Darnold can provide. And when you look at Zach Wilson's athleticism, when you look at what he can do, just his ability to throw the football, I think he's going to fit exactly with what LaFleur wants to do. And Sam Darnold, he needed a new start, and I think they knew that as well. And if you're going to go down on the ship, you're going to go down with your own guy. And Sam Darnold, by this time, what is it, his third head coach? How many playbooks? Third, fourth playbook now. They just weren't going to risk that all. They said, listen, we're a 2-win team. This guy grades better than Sam Darnold. If they were both to come out, to me, Wilson looks like the better prospect. I mean, you look, especially the last year, you look at what Darnold, he just translated over with the turnover problems right into the NFL. I don't think there's much growth when you look at the play from Sam Darnold from his rookie year to now. Like, where could you sit and say, where's the improvement? And you say, hey, well, the Jets were really bad, and that's where the Jets get tabbed for sure. But there's other quarterbacks who had bad situations. Remember, the Jets' offensive line was the 4th worst line in the league. So that means there were other teams that have worse lines. There's other teams that had less weapons, other teams that have more injuries, and their young quarterbacks were still able to at least show that the talent was there. And so I think this was a perfect scenario, because you know what the Jets did? They also got rid of Sam Darnold in a fashion, to a team, to a coach that really highlights him. And I think if Sam is going to succeed, it's going to be in Carolina. You got a really good running back. You got some wide receivers out there. You got a coach that actually did his homework on you, because he was going to potentially be the New York Jets head coach before the owner said, oh, well, you have to take this guy and that guy on your staff. And so it is an awesome situation for Sam. And Joe has been doing that with all his veterans and all the former players, setting them up, putting them in good situations, trading them to teams where they could succeed and possibly win a Super Bowl. And so I think that's respectable around the league. That's going to send a message to all the veterans out there moving forward. And honestly, to be honest with you, that's why I think the Jets had a good free agency class too. I think, you bring in guys like Corey Davis and you bring in guys like Keelan Cole. I think these are good receivers. These are guys who are veteran receivers. They had a chance to play for a lot of different teams. Like Keelan Cole could have played for a lot of teams. Corey Davis could have played for a lot of teams. They came to the Jets, I think, because they fit exactly what the New York Jets want. And that was the one thing that really surprised me, is that, this team went out, and when they approached free agents and they met with them, one of the resounding things that came out is that these guys said, we fit the system, and this is why, and this is how. And I like that, because that you're building pieces to a team to fit a scheme that you're going to put together, and it's going to mean that you're going to rebuild faster because everybody's on the same page moving forward. So I think it's really important when you look at this football team and you look at the resources that they had, that I think they maximized everything on paper. Now it's up to the players to go out and do it. Because I honestly think Joe and this coaching staff, they did everything you could possibly do to set this team up for success. You can't get a bet. Look at the Jets offensive line right now from where it came from, even on paper. Like, how could you have possibly imagined that the Jets line was going to be repaired like this, considering the shambles that it was in just a little bit ago? The fact that they were able to somehow swindle their way up to get Vera Tucker after you already selected Zach Wilson to solidify the left side of your line, to be able to get a tackle like Moses in the offseason so that way Fant could swing and protect the offensive line if there's injury, and you actually get an upgrade at that position too. And I just think that, and where they're placed, right? Like Vera Tucker is next to Van Rotten, and Moses is next to McGovern, and Moses is next to Van Rotten type of a deal. So there's always a strong hand next to someone who's maybe a weaker player on that offensive line. And I think if you look at how this year started, I think that you can't actually say that you thought that it would be like this. And he somehow pulled it off, somehow pulled off the quarterback that he wanted, somehow pulled off Keelan Cole, somehow pulled off Corey Davis. I mean, you look at this team and you just have to be very excited about what's going on and what the possibilities could be. You bring in a top-notch head coach. You bring in an aspiring, up-and-coming offensive coordinator. I mean, you got a nice rotational piece in backs. I mean, I still think there's a veteran cornerback that's coming. They bring a guy like Lawson over. I mean, there's so many different moves they made that I think really going to make this team better. No, I am not at work. I'm in the lounge downstairs from where I live. So sometimes people are coming in and out doing different things. But no, I'm just super, super, super excited about this football team in a way that I didn't think I was going to get to. I thought I was going to be a little bit more reserved. But seeing the moves that are made, seeing this functioning franchise go, it's just been really exciting. But one guy who's a returning player for the New York Jets is Ty Johnson. And, Krista's going to come on and she's going to talk about Ty a little bit. And I'm super excited about the possibility of Ty Johnson in this offense, because one thing that we know about is that Adam Gase didn't know how to use any of these players. He didn't know how to run his own system, let alone use the talent that was on the roster. And Ty Johnson was one of those players. And I think when you look at Ty, you saw his ability to run outside of the tackle and really hit the hole with some speed once he was able to get out there. And I just really think that in this offense, he's going to be protected, he's going to be rested, and he's going to be used correctly. One of the things that got me mad, and you can go ahead and bring Krista on so we can start talking about Ty here, that really got me mad, and we've spoken about this, Krista, was when Ty Johnson and Adams went off in that Vegas game. And then, Ty Johnson had 22 carries, 104 yards, 4.73 yards per carry. And then the next game, Adam Gase followed up with giving Mr. Ty Johnson 8 carries in that game, just completely killing the momentum that the team was building from that running back group. And that's something that I think you're not going to see with Saleh and LaFleur's offense. But tell us a little bit about Ty Johnson, how you think he's going to help this football team moving forward.
Yeah, just a little background on Ty Johnson. He went to college in Maryland. He was 4th in college history with rushing yards. And one thing that's very evident when you watch Ty Johnson is his speed. His speed pops up and pops out. And if you have the opportunity to watch all the running backs, I know a lot of people like to talk about Michael Carter's explosiveness. Give some credit to my guy Ty Johnson, because if you want to talk about explosiveness, Ty Johnson is the guy that has just as much, even more explosiveness than Michael Carter does. And what I like about Ty Johnson is, even though he's not a power back, say like we have P. Ryan currently on the team, he has very, very short hands. This guy does not fumble the football. If he does, it's not very often this guy fumbles the football. He has very, very reliable hands, which is great to have as a running back. And it's really surprising because in Maryland, he breaks down all these stats, and he was a guy that did not get a combine invitation, but when they did his pro days, the one thing that really stood out to a lot of scouts and to a lot of NFL teams was the speed. And coming out of college, no one really thought that he was going to get drafted until the Lions drafted him in a 6th-round pick. And when he made the Lions squad, I felt personally that they gave up on Ty Johnson. I felt like he was a guy they gave up on too soon. They primarily used him on special teams. And after he was cut, I'll admit I didn't know much about him. But looking what the Lions made, I'm glad they made the decision to cut him, because I feel like we got a gain just by them cutting him. And as far as the Raiders game, yeah, don't get me started with that. He blew off on the Raiders game. He had over 100 yards. And the fact that Adam Gase refused to give this man any credit after the game, and Josh Adams after it was absolutely mind-boggling. He doubled down and pretty much said, oh, well, the Raiders' defense isn't that good. And this is why Adam Gase is no longer a coach in the NFL. It's stuff like that. These young men were able to get over 100 yards. I don't care what you say. The fact that they were able to do that against the defense was pretty impressive. And Ty Johnson has the skill set to fit this offense a whole lot more. I know pretty much anyone could say that Adam Gase only used Frank Gore, but I feel in this offense with the wide zone set scheme that Ty Johnson's really going to thrive. There is a place for this young man to really make an impact on this team. I know we have Tevin Coleman currently. I feel like he's going to be more. He might be the guy that starts, but I don't think it's going to be very long. If he does start, I think he's more of a mentor type role guy, the kind of guy that we thought Frank Gore was going to be. And we have Michael Carter, of course, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't go the lead type back, if they just split the carries between the two of them. And they're the guys that are primarily the guys that split the carries. We have P. Ryan, who's a power back, and Ty Johnson's the guy that would be able to add to the explosiveness in the room. And when I look at Ty Johnson, actually, I see a lot of Michael Carter in his game. Actually, I see a lot. They're both really similar running backs. If you watch the film, they're both very, very explosive. They both have really good hands. I think in this offense, they have the opportunity to really thrive and be a really good 1-2 punch for the future of the New York Jets running back room.
Absolutely, Krista. When you look at it, I think Ty Johnson has, a real big opportunity here. I mean, for him to get basically let go the way he did after he was drafted, for him to get an opportunity this soon, a lot of guys don't even get that opportunity again so soon. According to Rich Cimini, he's had a really good camp so far. And as far as the Jets are concerned right now, he's heavily involved in the plans. And so it's going to be up to Ty Johnson in camp and in preseason here to really solidify his name, because when you look at it, Tevin Coleman's missed a lot of games over the course of his career. Even though I like him as a back, he's probably going to have 2 or 3 games this year if he's healthy where he's going to go off both catching and running the ball, in the same game, where you're going to get really excited as a Jet fan. But he's missed a lot of games throughout his career, little nagging injuries and bugs. And so when I look at that, I'd probably say, listen, I wouldn't count on him so much there. Michael Carter, as much as I love his ability and I think that he has a real big time future with the Jets, he still is a rookie and he's got some learning to do as well. And when I look at this Jets backfield, I mean, you got LaMichael Perine, and you have Josh Adams. And so Ty Johnson has a chance to get a really hefty load of these carries if he can come out here and perform in camp and preseason and show this team, hey, I could be a good rotational back here. And so going into camp right now, I mean, I like Michael Carter and I like Ty Johnson to take a bulk of those carries, but not right away. I think that Tevin Coleman, being the veteran and understanding the offense, if he's healthy, I think he's going to get a good shot at getting a healthy share of the carries. But I think not too long after that, you're going to see guys like Ty Johnson and Michael Carter really start to get the hefty load of the carries as the season moves on. I mean, these guys are 23, 22 years old. You look at a guy like Tevin Coleman, he's 28 years old with a little bit of mileage on him from the injuries. I think someone asked in the chat, who is the back that probably gets cut? I mean, you got Austin Walters, 5'8", 202. I mean, if you look at Michael Carter, he's 5'8", 202. So, I mean, there's not too many 5'8", 202 backs that are going to probably be carried on the roster. So Walter probably gets cut or signed to the practice squad if they like what he could bring to the table. And there's a possibility that Josh Adams does too. Now, I don't know if there's any rules as far as how many times you could put a guy on the practice squad or if he has an option. I don't know what it is. But I don't know what the desire is on the market for Josh Adams. And if I was him, I think that the most value that I have would be with the New York Jets because the staff has overviewed me. I've been in the building. I'm comfortable with the staff now. I've been here for a little bit. And so even if he doesn't make the roster and he has to be on the practice squad again, the Jets have been hit with injuries year in, year out. And so there's a good opportunity that he's going to get a chance to play at some point throughout the season. So if I'm him, I'm kind of sticking on board. And so I think if you're saying which backs right now that are on the roster get cut, I mean, those would be the types of guys. I don't think that Joe Douglas is ready to give up on LaMichael Perine just quite yet. You just him, and it's one of those first draft picks. I think you got to give your guys a little bit more time there. And he's only 23 years old too. And so, I think that those are probably the backs that get cut and the backs that get rotated. But Ty Johnson, absolutely has a place with the New York Jets, and wouldn't be surprised if you looked up and he's a guy that gets, 10, 12 carries a game possibly, because that's what you're going to look at. When you look at the Jets, if a guy has 12 to 15 carries, he's probably the lead back for the Jets at this point, because that's how they're going to wind up breaking it out. And there's going to be a lot more pre-snap movement, probably a lot more play action as time goes on and different things like that. And so the running backs are going to be used differently than what we're used to seeing in the last few years, and be a little bit more creativity, a little bit more movement to help give the back some space and be able to do some things. And remember, that's why guys like Corey Davis were brought here. And even though I know people are really low on Mims right now because of a few reports with no video or anything, that Mims is all of a sudden a bum and a bust. But when you look at it, he's another guy that has a little bit more of like a rangy, langy size. And so the Jets can go out there and run the ball on the edges. And so you get a guy like Ty Johnson, who's like 5'10", and then you get a guy like Corey Davis, and then you get a guy like Becton on that left side, and you might be able to do some damage. And so I'm really excited to see what Ty Johnson does this year for the team. So thanks, Krista, for everything that you've provided today for us. And listen, guys, thank you for tuning in. We need your help. Please keep sharing the show. Please keep watching the show. That's how people are able to see it. That's how we're able to grow. And remember, we have an audio show. If you guys aren't listening to, you can find it on any podcast that, you listen to, like anywhere, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you listen to sports radio or podcasts, you can find us. Just type in Jets Guru. Make sure you're subscribing on our YouTube page so we can grow that. So just go to Jets Guru on YouTube. And then we also have Jets Guru on Instagram, and we have Jets Guru on Twitter, which is run by our boy Ramon there. And listen, we're going to go right into it since we're kind of running low on time because I got crazy about Joe Douglas there in the beginning. But we got Ramon here, and he's going to talk to us a little bit more about Keelan Cole. And, we've stressed the importance of Keelan Cole. I was very surprised by the signing because ultimately I knew that the Jets were going to hold on to Jamison Crowder. And it's a smart move that they did it. It was a smart move that they restructured his contract because they were able to, kind of turn a little bit of those funds over to Moses. And that's what smart GMs do. But when you look at this, when Joe Douglas first signed Keelan Cole, it was kind of like everyone thought about him as being like the fifth guy, the extra guy, the guy that's going to get, maybe 20 something receptions over the season. But as time went on and the plan developed for the New York Jets and all of the camp stuff that's been coming out, Ramon, it seems like Keelan Cole is going to have a big time, role with the New York Jets, and it possibly could even be starting, right?
Absolutely. One huge thing is if you've been on Twitter, you've seen Connor Hughes or Rich, or you've seen Rich. Keelan Cole has been making a lot of noise, and I think we kind of all expected him to be very good. And then we started seeing the Elijah Moore stuff, and we kind of forgot about him a little bit. But to be completely honest, he's been taking a lot of snaps with the starters. They said from the OTAs in the minicamp, Corey Davis, Keelan Cole, and Elijah Moore have been the top three in the minicamp as far as performers. And I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna discount Mims because Mims is hurt, but even with Mims, they've talked about going to 5 receiver sets. So Keelan Cole has to be something impressive as to what they've seen. I mean, you got to think about it, right? So Cole, he wasn't heavily recruited in high school. He went to a Division II college, and he had to grind. He had to go out and get it. And he's here with the Jets on a 1-year deal, and I think it's kind of taking him back to his stomping grounds for when he just really had to bring it all and leave it all on the field. And if you go back, you go to watch I know when we first got him and we signed him to the 1-year deal in the summer, the first thing I did was what everybody else does. You go to YouTube, you type in Keelan Cole, you really want to see, because the Jags, they run a great franchise. Just like if anybody leaves the Jets, it's kind of hard to know what you're getting because people don't really watch a team like that. So I went to go watch him. First thing you see is what everybody else probably seen, and that's the one-handed catch versus the Patriots, which was just amazing. He actually had a really great game. I believe he had like 100 yards that game, and they ended up beating him going 2-0. But I mean, the kid he's what we need, right? He's what Zach needs. He brings measurables, athleticism. He's got a 4.5 speed. He's got an amazing release, and it's just really good for Zach Wilson. When we sit and we look at kind of what the Jets have right now, and you see like Elijah Moore, a great guy off the line. You see Davis, a great guy off the line. You see Denzel Mims, a great guy off the line. I think Keelan Cole is going to be here for years to come because, bearing no injuries, and I hope he stays healthy just with everybody else. But he's a guy that can get open quick, and that's what we need, man. We need quick throws. That's kind of what this offense is built around. That's what the whole NFL is built around. Tom Brady's done it for years. Quick throws. You don't see Tom Brady holding the ball for a long time. And just Keelan Cole just being a really good one-on-one guy as well. He's able to catch it. He's got a great stiff arm. It's very underrated if you haven't seen it. He's just and I love his game on the field. I love his passion for the game. I feel like we finally got players like Keelan Cole that is an undrafted guy, right? 2016 and at his Division II college is when he really stepped it up. He averaged 24.6 yards per catch. Like I know it's college, I know it's D2, but it really set him apart versus everybody else. A guy that wasn't even looked at, another guy that wasn't drafted, like he's been looked over his entire career. He struggled to get minutes, which is another reason that if you ever look at his stats, you look at his games, you kind of look at it and you see a lot of inconsistency, right? And why do we see that? Because he struggled to get minutes. It kind of goes back to, kind of how Ty Johnson didn't really, I feel like he didn't really get his fair shot. I'm a huge Ty Johnson guy. But if you see productivity from a guy, I really hope that Saleh is the type of guy to bring him back on the field, man. Hey, if they can't stop him, don't fix what isn't broken. Let the guy kill it, man. But I see somebody saying Crowder versus Cole and Moore. I mean, I think all three of the guys, I think it is none of these guys are getting cut, right? We know that. And Keelan Cole is just as good as the other two guys. I think Elijah Moore being the youngest with least experience, I don't know. I think Keelan Cole might get the nod over him at the very beginning, but it really depends, right? It depends on what we see. It depends on the health. It depends on, who Zach's favorite targets are. And it seems like he loves all three of these guys at this point, man. I mean, how could you not with their ability to get open? And I think my last kind of point on this is that, like, I think this is like something the Jets have really lacked because I don't think that it's like, all right, this guy is clearly better than this guy. This guy is clearly better than this guy. We got these receivers that can beat guys off the line. They can get open. Once they get the ball in space, they're dangerous, and I'm extremely excited to see this. I don't think we've had this since 2015. And before that, I don't think we've had it since like 2011. You know what I mean? So go Jets. Keelan Cole is going to be a beast. I'm telling you guys, he's going to be here for years. This is his prove-it year. He's proven, and if you look at every single step from high school to Division II college to being undrafted, being over with the Jaguars, the guy has proved that he's here to stay the entire time, and I just don't think that's going to change.
Absolutely, and I appreciate all those comments, Ramon, and I agree with you on that. I think when you look at the New York Jets and, you look at this roster, there's really not many open positions at all. I mean, this is the first time in a long time where even the depth of the team is pretty much covered. I mean, you look at guys like Berrios and stuff like that. I mean, they're still going to be on the roster. And I think the Jets, it's smart of the Jets what they did. I mean, they really went offensive heavy right out the gate to protect their young quarterback because they've seen the failures and Joe knows the franchise and he knows what it's been through. And so why come out here, put together yet another defensive-minded offseason, another defensive-minded this and that. He went out and he protected his guy by getting him weapons. So I really appreciate everything that you brought on Keelan Cole, and we'll see you next week for we don't know what player. You'll know we'll figure it out next week. So thank you guys for tuning in for the Jet Attack. But listen, when you look at this team, when you look at the differences, let's say in the slot, right? Because the question was posed by Victor Santa Cruz, right? The differences between Cole, Moore, and Crowder. Well, the one thing about this whole team that gets me really excited is the fact that it gives the Jets a bunch of different looks. It gives LaFleur a bunch of different options. I mean, when you look at this football team and you look at the different style of running back, Michael Carter to Josh Adams to Perrine, to Coleman, it gives you different looks, different sets. It keeps the defense off balance. And you have that same thing from the wide receiver position, particularly in the slot, because when you look in the slot, you have a guy like Crowder. He's like, 5'9" on a good day or whatever, in the slot, very quick feet, very good route running that he brings to the table. Especially he could become a very reliable friend of a young quarterback. We saw that with Sam Darnold, because when you look at the way he plays football, he just finds the open spots. I mean, he's a guy that, that's his bread and butter is the slot. He's one of the better slot receivers, in my opinion, in the game. When you look at his productivity over the last 2 years and some of the free agents that have been out there, from J.J. Smith-Schuster to the guy from the Panthers, when you look at them and you look at their production over the last 2 years, they're the same. They put together the same thing. And then, they didn't have to go through what Crowder went through last year with Darnold taking a step down in his progression, not only reading the defense, but his mechanics, and Adam Gase and all the injuries. And he still was a reliable target for Darnold when Darnold did have his good days, when he did have his good moments. And I think that can't be understated. And then when you look at a guy like Moore, I think Moore is what Joe has wanted this whole time since he came to the Jets, because he spoke about how the NFL is a passing league and how he wants to be dynamic, bringing the ball down the field. And I think that Moore could eventually be one of those guys, like a Tyreek Hill style type of receiver, where you can use him inside and out and use him for his dynamic ability to make plays. He's got quick feet. He's got excellent hands. I think the only downside for Moore is his size. You look at him, he's like 5'8", 5'9", something like that. He's a smaller guy. But the NFL has proven, has showed you that these smaller guys can go out there and they could play football. He may be a little bit taller than that. I'm not sure. There's so many small guys on the Jets. He might even be 5'10", but he's a smaller guy, 5'9", 5'10", something like that. But he's a dynamic player. And I mean, when you look at his game tape and you look at what the coaches had to say of him in college, I mean, he's electric. And, if you look at when he was drafted, what receiver was saying, I got you, I'm going to help you through this transition. Who was that guy? And it was A.J. Brown from the Titans. Well, who's a guy on the Jets roster who just played with the Titans and who's played with A.J. Brown for a little bit? Corey Davis. You don't think that A.J. Brown is telling Corey, hey, man, you better look out for my boy out there. Come on, man, help him out any way you can. And from all reports, he didn't even need much help, because the camp that he came into, he came out there and he was slinging the ball. I mean, he was catching the ball all over the place, And so I think when you look at it, I mean, you got to get really excited, because if he can be used how, I expect the Jets to be able to use him, I mean, you just have to be absolutely excited. I mean, a home run hitter, a guy that can go out there and just, get the ball. Like, you could throw it deep, you could throw it short, and, and when you look at it too, you have Davis on the outside, he's going to be in there every play, because he's a good running receiver. He could block very, very well on the outside, and he's a professional route runner and catcher, and he's got speed. You'll see that he is a number one option. Is he going to go out there and give you 1,400 yards receiving? Most likely. He's not going to go ahead and do those things for you. But I think 1,000, 1,100 yards receiving, maybe 900 yard receiving, if you're spreading the ball out a lot of rookie season for, Zach Wilson. And then on the other side, you have Mims, but Cole on the inside too. I mean, it's not just an inside thing with Cole. He's inside outside, because Cole also has receptions and big plays on the outside as well. And so the only really true wide receiver that is a slot receiver would be Jamison Crowder. And so it gives the Jets a lot of different options in what they can do formation-wise. And so I would expect, me personally, I think once we get to camp and we get to really start playing games, I mean, obviously the connection between receiver, I mean, if Moore is really connecting, with Zach Wilson, he's going to have to play. But I think coming out of the gate, I mean, to have the professionalism, to have the route running, to have the skill of Jamison Crowder in the slot, just to start out the gate, I think wouldn't be such a bad thing. But I don't know how it's going to play out. I don't know how it's going to go. But I'm telling you right now, Crowder really wasn't there for any of the camp. When he gets there and he starts getting real reps and starts playing, it's not going to be as easy for Moore to just come in there and take reps from these guys. I mean, these guys are really good professionals. And so it was great to see him shine out and really do what he did. But when some of these veterans return, I mean, and you really start getting into the meat and potatoes of, okay, we're getting ready to play a season. I think when you look at that, man, you just really, really have to be thinking that, me personally, I'm thinking that Jameson is going to really get a shot here to really start. I mean, and when you look at it, let's say it's Corey Davis, Jameson Crowder, and Denzel Mims, or someone like Keelan Cole on the outside. That's still a really good receiving group with having guys like Moore coming in, being a home run hitter, or Mims coming in and filling in and 40, 50 yards a game, that type of thing off the bench. I think that could be exciting. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say how the Jets are really going to utilize these rotations at receiver and running back, because the Jets are stacked with talent, honestly, in both positions. When you really look at it, you have to be excited about this team on paper. You know there's going to be injuries, and so there's going to be guys that are going to come and step up. And that's not even saying the tight end position, because we're going to have a battle at tight end too. There's a few guys there. You got Herndon, Yeboah, all these guys. And so they're all going to get a shot to play and see where they fit in this offense. But, not everyone's going to be fed. And so it's going to be interesting to see who gets the receptions coming out, who locks in with Moore when they first get to camp. And it's like, okay, man, like this is it. We're, no more games, no more play time. It's like we're getting ready for the season now. This is the real deal. But I mean, this couldn't have been a better start. When you think about it, for your young quarterback, couldn't have been a better start for the line, for the wide receiver group, for the running back group, for the type of coach, for this guy to play to me. And it's going to be in an offense that's known around the league, but is more modern, in my opinion. It fits the style that Zach Wilson plays, whereas Gase's offense didn't fit how Darnold played. Darnold would have played much better in this offense, regardless of where I think his ceiling is. I think he would have played a lot better. And so all around, you just have to be really, really excited. And I just can't wait. You got 4th of July weekend. And then all of a sudden, like 2 weeks after that, they're there. They're grinding, they're getting it going. We're right on the cusp of playing preseason football. And these battles are going to be insane. And I do think that Joe Douglas is going to bring a piece or two in from free agency. I don't know if it's going to be a veteran corner or not. We're going to have to see how they evaluate these guys. And they might say, hey, man, we really like these young guys that we got at a corner. We still know that we're rebuilding and we're still a year or two away from really doing any damage. And so why don't we see if these young guys can be studs, or if they can be a number 2 corner moving forward, or a good slot corner moving forward. And there's still a few guys out there. Sherman's out there. I think Brian Poole's out there. If you're like, oh, I really like what my team's putting out there, if we could really just shore up these corners a little bit more. So there's a few things that you can do to get a little bit more talent in the building. But if you listen to Joe Douglas, he's really high on young talent and draft picks and developing, because when you look at the Ravens roster over the years and why they've been a successful franchise, and they don't sweat it when their linebackers and their defensive ends and their corner, it's because they have a system. Everybody's talented in the NFL. That's how they got here. It's finding the right guys that fit the system that you want to play. Now, there's some guys that just can't handle it. They have injury issues, whatever, what have you. But you have to be talented to be drafted, or even to be picked up and make an opening day roster. You don't suck. And so it comes down to, do you fit the scheme? Do you fit the play calls? Do you fit what this team brings to the table? I mean, there was really good players who got left behind on rosters, even quarterbacks, Brett Favre, Kurt Warner. There's been a bunch of dudes, like even mediocre guys who had decent careers, who were left behind, and then all of a sudden they go to a new team and boom, it's like they resurrect their careers and they become something better. And the reason why is because you have to fit the scheme in which you play in. It makes you develop faster. It makes you learn the playbook faster when your skill set actually meets the thing that you're going out there trying to do. And that goes for nearly every work profession, but especially football, when everything's based off of rhythm, everything's based off of repetition, everything's based off of grinding and putting in the work. And so when you put in that work and your natural ability fits that already, you're going to take an extra step, an extra leap forward. And I think that the Jets are putting together a roster, they're putting together a coaching staff that can do these things. And so when I say get excited about this team, get excited about the development of this team. Don't look at the wins and the losses type of a deal. Again, 2-win team last year. I'm looking to see, could Zach Wilson be a Justin Herbert? Could Zach Wilson be a Joe Burrows and come out there and be like, okay, we have something now. This guy's the real deal. Can he be one of those guys? Or is it going to be like Sam Darnold where you get a sense of like, oh man, like we're going to have to need every single thing around him to go right for him to step up and take that next step? You know, I've spoken about it multiple times about the New York Jets. The Jets need a top 10 quarterback in this league. We've been muddling in the veteran quarterback and the mediocre department for too long. I want an NFL Rookie of the Year. I want one of the best young quarterbacks in the league on the Jets roster. I mean, you look at it, these guys pop up all over the place. Just hasn't happened to be with the Jets. Maybe this can be our time. Maybe the Jets actually got it right this time. It's not a one-shot deal like everyone thinks, oh, well, it's Trevor Lawrence or bust. It's not. There could be multiple quarterbacks throughout this draft that hit if they go to the right system. And when you look at the skill set of this kid and what the Jets were able to do on the offensive line, what they're able to do with their wide receiver depth, and what they're able to do with the scheme, what they're able to do with the type of head coach that they have, I think you're putting together a string of things that are only going to help your quarterback than take away from it. And I think when Adam Gase was here, he took away from things from Sam Darnold, from guys like Chris Herndon and what they were able to do, because he didn't piece together a system that fit their talents. And then when they needed help, there was no one there to be had because that system did not fit them. It's very important. Fit is really important in the NFL. And again, in most places in life. And so, listen, thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys are amazing people to tune in each and every week. Listen, I have my degree. I have experience. I have a portfolio. If any of you guys work in radio, TV, know somebody, anything that can help me get my platform where it needs to be or get me to where I need to be, let me know. I put in the work. I put in the time. I'm just waiting for the opportunity, but we're going to keep going no matter what. Even if I don't make it, even if I never get anywhere, I'll be here with you guys each and every week, trying to put together a good product, because you got to put in the work for the path to open up. If you don't, you're just going to have a field filled with trees and obstacles and ropes. And so I'm doing everything I possibly can to knock down the obstacles in front of me. So when that path finally opens up to my final destination, I can just walk through and say, I am here. You have to be prepared. You have to be ready. Don't let your opportunity drop on you and you're not ready. And so be ready at all times, work hard, be smart, take care of each other, love each other, and be safe out there. Dude, don't be JPP out there too. Don't blow off your fingers this weekend, guys. I don't want to hear the stories. I don't want to see the GoFundMes and stuff, because you guys can't handle a little bit of fireworks. So you guys better be safe out there, please, and drink water. Drink water, please. Thank you so much. Love you guys. We got a vintage Jets highlight coming up. JR, our producer, doing big things out here, trying to stitch together a great show for us. Victor, if I get on ESPN, bro, drinks on me, brother. Have a good night. Love you guys. Jets Guru out.
This week on Jets Throwback, we're taking it back to Brett Favre. That's right, making his debut with the Gang Green.
Serious on this track, fam.
So Brett Favre coming from Green Bay, now in Miami. Definitely a temperature change.
To watch Brett Favre after 1 month of work as a New York Jet quarterback. Coming in on August the 7th, he arrived. Here he goes, throwing right away and gets a completion to Lavernius Coles. He faces 3rd and 2 from the 39.
So Brett Favre will pick up his first down scrambling, but needless to say, his first debut, first
Then
drive,
Graham
will end up just fine.
That's from the 44. Lavernius Coles is not in. Great play action fake. Favre going long for Kotry. Kotry hauls it in at the 10, and he is in for the touchdown. What a fake by Favre. You could tell during the preseason. 99. Favre Middle, complete. Favre, end zone, low. In the pocket, pass, zip to Kotchery.
Good teams and able to get rid of the football.
Getting outside, Thomas Jones.
Been a little busy at training camp.
2nd and 2, Favre. Pass almost intercepted. Thomas Jones slicing the field goal. If he'll be able to go. 3rd and 17, underneath Jones. And unable to run away from Jeremiah Bell. Big rush. Favre gets away, lobs it in the air. Someone's there. Oh, it's caught at the goal line for a touchdown. He puts up a jump ball, and Stuckey brings it down for the score. Remarkable.
So the game would come down to the very last play where Darrelle Revis would pick it off. So Brett Favre's first game debuted with Gang Green. He went 15 for 22, 194 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Maybe could have had 1 or 2. And he took 3 sacks. And the Jets won 2014. And that is your throwback of the week. Presented by Jets Guru. And it's your boy JR, the producer. We out.